What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the podcast. Uh, just wanted to say that I wanted to discuss some issues that were brought up um, last night from our discussion and some other topics that had been brought up. So we're going to get into it real quick. Just wanted to touch bases on some things real quick and drop some knowledge bombs and see if you guys can follow along with me and get some understanding of what we're going to be discussing. So let's check it out. All right. So just a quick recap. We had our discussion last night about the um, Book of the Giants, Book of Enoch, antediluvian discussion last night. And there was a post that I had posted yesterday on Facebook. Let me see if I could pull this up real quick. The post was about, hold on, come on. All right, here it is. Let me share this really quick. All right, so this was the share that I had. The post itself. The idea of Satan is real is really a silly concept. If you think about it, God created his own enemy just to fight him. Okay. Now, think about this. Now, this isn't just it, this is a concept that was adapted and twisted around, as I was saying, into this narrative because you got to remember something. And I'm going to get into some stuff. Like I said, if you want to look at it, check it out for yourself, do the research and the knowledge seeking on these little tidbits of information that I'm giving out, because this is fact that you can find that's out there that they don't tell you. They hide it from the true narrative of what they're trying to shove down your throat. All right. They want you to be in fear. They want you to be in this slave mind mentality that you're born inherently evil, and that if you don't do what you're told or you don't follow this set of rules, you're going to go and die in this lake of fire. But if you follow them and you be subservient, you get to enter into this kingdom. But think about this. Why would okay, they're talking about this God. Everybody who sees this God pictures this God as this man with a beard sitting on this throne, ruling over everybody, right? And as I talk about in other episodes on the podcast, that this Yahweh, this God of the Hebrews, who adapted that God from ancient cultures and ancient tribal worship, because he wasn't the singular God, he was the God out of many. And I know some people are probably going, oh, here we go again. Here we go. talking this nonsense. Don't take my word for it, folks. Read the facts. What you go to Sunday school, what you sit at church, and what you listen to is just regurgitation of old ancient texts in the Old Testament. This deity that you're talking about, this Yahweh, this creator, isn't the God that you're thinking of. It is a God of old, which was adapted by the Hebrews and made into a singular God. Okay, in order to get people into the worship narrative that you see, it's just another way of control. Now, if this God, this head being, okay, of this, what we see now, created these beings that were highly intelligent, okay, if you look at what it says in the Bible, that Satan, okay, and Satan, again, this word was adapted from ancient texts. And I posted a video on my Facebook. You can check it out. As a matter of fact, I posted it in this comment right here. I'm gonna pull it up because I wanted my I wanted people to see where this comes from. I don't think I put it in here, did I? No, I didn't. But this idea of Satan isn't new, folks. It was just misinterpreted and thrown in there because of the translation and the way they carried it over. In ancient cuneiform texts from the ancient Sumerians, in the creation story, Satan, not Satan, Satan was actually the god Enki. Now, this, like I said, you can look at this information all you want and either take it or not, because either people are going to be open to the fact that what they were learning isn't the true truth. It's just a narrative taught by an adaptation of a people into their book, but they want to sit here and say, "Oh, well, this is the only true way. This is the only truth. This is it." No, folks, you need to realize that what you're being told and what you're being taught is not what is being. It's not original. You're actually just following another pagan ritualistic ideal. That Satan from the Bible, from the creation, the beginning, was actually a Sumerian construct. It was the Lord Enki, one of the gods. You had the Trinity, Enki, Enlil, and their father Anu. Anu, the head god. Now they were portrayed as gods, but they were just beings that came from another planet, that were here, that modified creation on this earth. He, Enki, being Satan, was the one who went into the garden after they had done their creation, because Eden was actually a construct that was made to conduct all these creations, all this genetic modification that they were doing in Eden. And as I said, people don't want to realize what they're reading in the Bible is something that's much more different than what they're telling you, because the narration of it is being twisted. Okay, it's been twisted for so long, and as it says in your Bible, from ancient, what the real true meaning is that in the end days, people's eyes are going to be awakened. They're going to realize what's going on. Hey, man, I've been following this narrative for so long, but this shit don't make no sense. Satan in the Bible, or Satan in the Bible, is actually Satan, Lord Enki, He went down into the garden after they had constructed and made these beings and genetically modified them from what they were. Okay. He is the one who went down and told them, look, because Enki was the god of this earth. He was in charge of, and I say God literally, because they worshiped them. They saw them as a god. Okay, they weren't actually gods, because it says that they knew that there was a being that was higher above them. Okay, they just came down here and made themselves as gods because people didn't know any better. That Enki came down and he told them, he told Eve, look, he's the one that gave them knowledge. He's the one that showed them that, hey, what are you doing? Like, well, we don't want to we don't want to, break what God Enlil, who was the other god, his brother, what he told us not to do, because Enlil is the one who genetically was modifying these people, and when they got together, he's the one that gave up his DNA, his essence, and put it in man to modify them. You see, people think of this thing of aliens and the possibilities of this they think it's far fetched that this construct, this idea could be even be possible. But you're going to sit here and believe that a man that walked on water could change water into wine, could heal people from the sick, could disappear and reappear. But that's true, though, right? Because they told you that's what you need to believe in. That if you don't, you're going to burn in hell. It's that fear construct. But all this stuff was misinterpreted, mistranslated, twisted around for the benefit of them, not for you, not for us. Why would a eternal, all omnipotent God create something that he knew? Because if he knew everything and he could see to the past and to the present, to the future, it says in the Bible, he knows every hair on your head. He even knew you before you were created in your mother's womb. Why? Because we all come from that same universe. That goes back into a whole nother topic. Just like Jesus was trying to tell everybody, the kingdom of heaven is within you. The universe is within you. You see those tidbits that you find inside of the Bible and the real translations. They want to twist things and take his wording and manipulate it to keep you hidden in the dark. He even says, no one will enter into heaven that has not already been there. When you die, you're going to die and you're going to return back to where you came from. Why? Because that in its true essence is what and who we are. That is the truth. You ain't going to die and burn and go in hell. This right here, what we're living in, is our hell. Why? Because of the twistedness that was brought on this earth by these creations. Like I showed you last night when I was talking on the episode. Every 5,000 years, a deluge happens. We're about to hit the other one. We're coming up. Just facts, folks. The evil that is on this earth was brought from these beings and these creators throughout the ages. Their battle between each other. But the true nature of us and who we are, the essence of who we are, is eternal. If God was so omnipotent and he knew everything, now I'm talking about this God of the Bible, Why would he create something that he knew was going to come down and destroy his creation and allow it to happen? Now I sat here and I'm watching these videos, okay, of these pastors sitting on stage because these people they're having a debate, and the pastor skidding around the question. Oh well, why did he make me? Am I here? Why are we here? You see, God gave us free will to make that decision, and he sent Jesus Christ to set us free, to deliver us from those from that life of damnation. Um, so you're going to tell me that us coming from this eternity and this eternal essence, we're born into this world. We are inherently evil, is what he's saying. And because we are inherently evil and the choices that we make, that we need a savior in order to return to that which we came from already. Jesus cut it out of his mouth. No one will come to heaven that has not already been there or came from it. So we're going back. But the people who have adapted and lost their way and lose the essence of who they are by captivation of what is on this planet, it has been distorted, corrupted. We have lost our way of knowing who and what we are and where we come from. By everything around us, we have been manipulated, and it has been just distorted in order to keep us in control. Why would a God, okay, create something in order to watch it suffer, die, perish, kill each other, and allow one of his own beings that he knew was going to do this stuff, okay? And this being all powerful, because it says in the Bible that Satan was his right-hand man. He was the first of his creations, the most beautiful angel. And you're going to tell me that in his thought process of being this this part of this eternal, this light, that he just decided to say, where did the evil come through from him? What, it just came out of nowhere? That don't make no damn sense. And he just decided to say, man, you know what? We're just going to go down here and just screw up everything. And I'm going to be God. You see, this story was adapted, as I said, from the Sumerian text, folks. All these concepts and and everything that you're reading in Old Genesis, this is all a distortion of what was being transcribed and written down in Sumerian tablets, and in other cultures that adapted it from them, because they all heard the stories of these beings, these creatures that came down here, corrupted the human population from the creations. We weren't created, okay, created. We were genetically modified from the beings that were already here. We were distorted and corrupted by these beings coming down, sharing their knowledge with us that we should not have had. And the gods were like, you know what? This is getting out of hand. These people are getting out. They're getting too much here. And that's what I'm saying. Like people are quick to go back to the Bible and say, "Well, the scriptures say." Well, the scriptures say that, but those scriptures, those adaptations, are not from originally the Bible. All right, it says the Bible seems to tell us that Satan was a created being, that Satan was among the first of the creatures. Yes, but as I stated, this Satan of the Bible is not the Satan of the stories in the Bible are not original, folks. They're not. These stories that are in the Bible are adapted from ancient texts that were mistranslated, conformed. Okay, if you look at the creation of the Hebrew nation and the adaptation of these god beings and how they became monotheistic with one god instead of many, look at it. The story of Satan being cast out of heaven and bringing a third, 200 angels with him, is just what I was talking about on the podcast last night. These beings came down, distorted and made their wives with the women that were on this earth, modified their DNA with their own. Thus, we get the deluge and the flooding and yada, yada, yada. But what you're saying is that the sin of this world that was already here, how would Satan sit there and be corrupted if he was an eternal being? He should not have been corrupted by it. So you're telling me that the God of all made a being that was going to rebel against him, pretty much give him the finger, and say, I'm going to do what I want anyway. That does not make sense. Because if this God of the Bible, which we know is not the God that you're thinking he is, was actually an adaptation of ancient gods that were around that they were worshiping because there was many. And you got to remember something, like I said last night in the podcast, know your history. Abraham was not a Christian. He was not a Hebrew. They were Canaanites. Canaanites meaning they were of the lineage of the first people who were created by these beings, and they worshiped many gods. They were Semitic people, meaning they lived in tribes and they worshiped many gods. The adaptation of one that came way later on. This Yahweh that you guys are thinking about, that just didn't all of a sudden the Yahweh came out of the sky and he was, oh, worship me. No, they just adapted it and threw away these other gods. Oh, let's get rid of this one. Let's get rid of this. And we got to focus and just have one God. And they took Yahweh because, like I said, do your research, look into it. The adaptation of what this God is that they're talking about in the Bible is an adaptation of something very old. The story of Satan is not what you're thinking. The story of him being cast out of heaven is not what you're thinking. You've been told the narrative that has just been shoved down. Everybody just sits there and goes along with this. Well, the Bible says, no, what you're saying is they told me that this is what was real. Trust me, I know. I did the same thing. I regurgitated the whole shebang until I decided, just like everybody's got to decide for themselves. You got to make that choice. You either going to sit here, keep going for it. All power to y'all. All I'm saying is this, please wake up to the reality of what you're being told and look at it and say, does this make sense? When your children are born, do you sit here and look at that child and go, that child's going to be evil because they're inherently evil? corruptedness that comes on your children is by what either you tell them or what they get from things that are around them. That stuff isn't born into your children. That stuff isn't in their DNA. That stuff is not, it's not programmed into their essence. It is something that is adapted and learned because of what they've been taught. That's how evil was brought into do you see what I'm saying? That evil was loosed on the earth by the deities that came down here and were giving men and teaching them this wickedness and teaching them this stuff. It wasn't here on the earth. It wasn't already here. It was introduced by them coming down and corrupting the population that was here, sleeping and fornicating with the women. Their offspring became corrupted and were these men of renown. Because as I said, if this story of the creation is true, then who in the fuck were the people that were here before Adam? Who are they? Tell me. Who created them? I'll wait. You only get not one side of the story. This earth is a lot older than what you are thinking, folks. You're just being controlled and manipulated by something that is being told to you that was distorted because of these ancient texts that were there. They want to take and pick and choose and give you and look at it this way. Do you believe in Jehovah's Witnesses? What they tell you? Hmm? Do you believe what uh, um, these other religions tell you about their God, where they come from in the creation and all this other stuff? Do you believe it? Why is it that you take and choose and pick what you want to believe because you say, well, I believe that this one is true, but these other people are not? That this other idea that has been passed down, okay, and we know this is fact because, like I said, you got to look outside of this box. You've got to look outside of this box and realize that what you're sitting here swallowing when you go to Sunday school, when you go to church, when you go to church on Wednesdays, when you go to the Catholic Church, all this stuff is just a distortion of what was being said. It was an adaptation of a story that predates that Bible by thousands of years. Now you got the New Testament. Same thing again. You've got a story of a man. I'm not saying that Jesus wasn't real. I'm not saying that he wasn't here. What I'm saying is that his message and his teachings were distorted to fit a narrative that they want you to believe. Do I believe that Jesus came here to set people free? Yes, I do. They're mine. He wanted people to understand that this earth and this realm that we're in right now, this is not reality. Store not your treasures in heaven or on this earth, but store them up in heaven. Realize where you come from and don't sit here and mess around with this stuff because it's going to fade away. I come to set you free. I came to give you life and give it to you more abundantly. Give you life more abundantly because the life that is in you, this flesh is going to decay and rot and be gone. It's going to be no more. But what you have in your soul, that is forever. Understanding the true nature and the capabilities of who you are and where we come from and what we're capable of being. I'm telling you, y'all got to look deep. into this stuff. This lie and this distortion that people have been sitting here telling you for years because somebody said, "Oh, well, this is the truth." When in fact that truth is a distortion of the reality of what is. This world is going to pass away, and we're going to end up being eternal. We're going to go back to that which we came from. He said so himself. And we're not going to be able to enter into that which we came from unless we had already been there. They believed in reincarnation because they said it themselves. Who do you think I am? Jesus left from the age of 12 all the way until he was 30. He lived in other countries. He went and studied the ancient mystic arts. He lived in Egypt and studied underneath the Essenes that were there, learning everything he could from there. Went into freaking India and learned from the sages there. Went into Asia and learned from the sages there. Traveled around with Joseph of Arimathea. The man was a wealthy man. Came back. Was so enlightened at that time of his life that he had to go and learn and come back. That was his plan. He was trying to spread that knowledge and that wisdom to everybody. We are all sons and daughters of God. Is it not written in your old text? He told the Sadducees, the Pharisees in the temple. Is it not written down that you say that we are all sons and daughters of God? And for this you want to stone me? When it came out of your own mouth from what was written in the old texts? You see what I'm saying? Don't let the distortion of what you're reading you got to research and do the due diligence to look and see what was really being said, not what they're telling you he said. The narrative that they want to teach you about this stuff is all for an end game. It's what they're leading you this way, but there's a broader spectrum. Oh, forget all that stuff. Yeah, this is what it means right here. That's all. If you look outside of that stuff and you look into it, it's evil. You're gonna burn in hell. You hear me? Don't you do it. We're gonna cast you out. You're gonna get burned up. You're gonna get disowned. We're gonna shun you. They've been doing it for years. You can't sit here and tell me that Jesus wasn't a man. Why? Because they glorified him and they made him into a deity? Jesus didn't want to be worshipped. That wasn't his purpose, and his goal in life was to be worshipped. He wanted us to understand what was in us. He told his prophets and he told the people, speak to that mountain and tell it to move, and it will move. Speak it and it will be done. Because your words, understanding that your words are the power, speaking it into existence, and it will happen. You hear it, but you don't understand it. Just like the adaptation story of him walking on the water during the storm. They're sitting out there in that boat and it's going nuts. Oh, man. And here he comes just strutting his stuff. Y'all don't understand. You're letting this little thing bother you? Why? Because you're seeing it with the fleshly eyes and not with the spirit eyes. You're seeing the problem and not understanding that the power that is within you to control it is within everybody. But many people just don't understand that. They're not at that level. And I know I ain't. I got a long way to go. But I'm understanding it. The choices that we make, folks, are not governed by an outside force. Satan sitting here whispering in your ear, "Oh yeah, go do this." Oh, that is stuff that we in our mind make. We choose to make those choices. Don't blame somebody else for something you did. Don't blame other people for things that happen. Don't sit there and wait for some divine being to come down and save you if you sitting here going, "Oh God, please." You think all these people that are dying in these other countries ain't doing the same thing? It's the choices, folks. This life that we're living in, this realm, this earth that's here is hell. We either choose to become it or we choose to rise above it. We can either be better or we can just say screw it and just keep going with the flow and just. But you are not inherently evil. There is no force that's working outside to make you do something. You choose those choices. And it's because of the things that you've learned, that you've been fed or you've been taught throughout your life. It's a manipulation and a distortion of what we are. And as I said before, it's the ideas of this stuff that has been adapted and been thrown out here into this world, the distortion and the manipulation and the destruction of us, our DNA, our thought process. We weren't meant to be this way. We weren't created for this. We were created to be just like the All Creator made us to be. Enlightened beings with the knowledge and the capabilities to be all knowing, to be all powerful. But as it states in the old Sumerian text, the corruption of these thoughts and these ideas that were brought to us by these beings from the Palladian system, I'm telling you, it tells you they distorted and came here from somewhere else. Ain't come from no heaven. It says heaven because it's above. It literally gives this time where they came from. They tell you where they came from. But you got the adaptation of the Bible that just gives a distortion, and people just want to go with it because it's a different narrative of what was said long ago. Got to do your research, folks. And as I said, when I watched this video, this guy sitting here having this conversation with the pastor in this auditorium, he's like, well, if evil, if God created Satan and Satan was evil, that means, why would God allow that if he's this all-knowing being? The pastor skated around the question. Here, I'll play it for you. You can look at it. Ridiculousness. Well, check it out because, like I said, they get picked apart easily.
I did have a quick question about evil, but the ultimate evil. An atheist actually asked me the other day that about the ultimate evil being the devil. he said, if there is a God, then how is there a Satan? In the Bible, he was an angel and he fell, but he said, how does that make sense?
If there is a God, why is there a me?
Fucking stupid shit.
Or you? Or him? Because we're all evil.
You hear what he said?
We've all done evil. But God knew that he wanted a world that would allow free choice. So he even allowed Satan to fall, just like he allowed you and me to fall.
Hold on.
But God can redeem.
Let me go back and listen to what this fool says. We are all evil. That's a lie and a distortion of itself. He is just giving you a narrative to justify what he thinks is why what happened. Okay, if we're all evil, then why did God create us evil? Hello? They don't know what they're talking about. They're just sitting here trying to justify their narrative. Because we're all evil. No, we're not. We're not inherently evil. You're going to sit here and tell me that you're going to go into a hospital and say that that child's a fucking psychopath? That child's going to be a murderer? That child's going to be a rapist? Come on, folks. Wake up. Wake up. Baloney.
But God can redeem people who are redeemable. And for some reason, but God can redeem people who are redeemable. For some reason, angels are not redeemable.
Listen to what he's telling you. Because he's not answering the question. He's skating around it. I said, these people are master salesmen. They're master salesmen. I'm going to go back. Listen to what he's telling you.
We've all done evil.
All done evil.
But God knew that he wanted a world that would allow free choice.
God knew, okay, they're going to throw that out there. God knew what was going to happen. So he enabled it to happen because he wanted to have people suffer just to have them be saved by somebody? That's like me telling my child, okay, I'm going to introduce this freaking gun to you. I'm going to have you go through this, telling him to go do evil with it. Okay. And I want him to go do something, knowing the ramifications of what's going to happen in order for me to let him see the point. That's like me telling my child to go and do something wrong. Okay, because we're all evil, in order for them to suffer and learn rather than freaking stop it from happening. Oh, he wanted to give us free will and choice. That right there in itself is the lie. That right self, oh man.
So he even allowed Satan to fall, just like he allowed you and me to fall. But God can redeem.
He gonna sit there and say, oh, well, he allowed us to fall. Like, Satan, he allowed Satan to fall. Come on now. The all creative being allowed somebody to come down here, mess with his stuff so that way we could worship him in all his glory and be saved Come on, folks. Y'all need to wake up.
People who are redeemable. And for some reason, angels are not redeemable. We're not theologically told why that is. Maybe they were in the very presence of God and they had a choice, but human beings are redeemable. We can do evil and God can redeem us. In fact, if you had to put the entire...
Oh, he's not answering the question. He's skating around why it is. That doesn't answer anything. See, this is the big narrative that they want people to believe. All right, is that the evil, the inherent evilness needed to have a redeemer in order have this doorway in order to get to where we were supposed to be. Do you see what I'm saying? They're giving you a justification in order to serve something, to be able to say that you are worthy to enter into a place of which you came from. But because of this inherent evil and this master key holder of evil who corrupted and just is the worker of everything, you have that choice, and then
entire Bible into one word. The theme of the Bible is redemption. You have paradise lost in Genesis, paradise regained in Revelation. Everything in between is a story of redemption, and the reader is Jesus. He's the center of the entire Bible. So he lives the perfect life and takes our punishment on himself so he can redeem us. He could have created a world where we were robots, but that wouldn't be a moral world. He could have prevented Satan from sinning, but if Satan...
Did you hear what he said? He just told on himself. He could have prevented it, but he allowed it because he wanted people to suffer. He wanted people to know pain. He wanted to look down on them and say, "Oh, well, you should have known better. You should have did better, right?" Wake up, folks. Wake up. Nonsense.
Is a free creature, then it's logically impossible for God to allow freedom to be controlled by him, because that's not what freedom is.
He's the creator of everything, right? They want to spin this little thread of, well, then it wouldn't make him a god, because if, he would, his creation was given free will in order to do things. That wouldn't be right of him to do that, would it? I mean, he wouldn't be, Abba Father and yada yada by allowing, creating a perfect being that would not sin, because that's what angels were, correct? Supposedly, they were created perfect, but yet they fell. So if he knew that they were going to do it, why did he allow it in the first place? If they were created to be incorruptible, they were created to be all perfect and subservient to him. So what, angels had free will? No. According to the Bible, they don't. Angels didn't have free will to do what they wanted. They did what they were told. So if these angels were corrupted already, and God knew that they were going to be corrupted, why make them? Because he just wanted it to? You see, this story does not make sense. It's all bullshit. But nobody's going to sit here and believe it. They're not going to understand that because they just don't want to open their minds, and that's fine. Many of us are waking up to the reality of what is going on here. And as it says in the Bible and in other texts around the world, that people are going to wake up and realize that the narrative false testimonies, these false religions, these false ideologies, these things that were here that were being presented to people to lead them away from their true spiritual nature and the true essence of who and what we are is going to happen, and we're seeing it. Wake up, folks. Understand and realize what you've been told is just it's just another form of mental and spiritual slavery. That's all it is. That is all it is. Do your research. Do your due diligence. Look at it and research everything for yourself. Realize that what you've been told this whole time, you're just following in the footsteps of things that happened to ancient people a long time ago. Somebody came through and said, oh, well, this is a God. This is him. Serve him. If you don't, this is going to be the punishment. Yada, yada, yada. Oh, here's a savior that's coming to save the world. No. There have been different forms of people who have Christ consciousness to bring you to that level of consciousness that have been murdered, that have been deified. It is in the essence and the words of what he was saying, what Yahshua was saying to the people, to the world, his true message. Raising us up to that Christ consciousness, folks. And as I said before, that is going to be another episode that I get into and we're going to talk about. But just wanted to drop a tidbit of information. Look into it for yourself. Realize what's going on. Don't be a slave to the system. Wake up. Break free of this matrix. Many of us choose to do so, and we're trying to wake everybody up. Be free. Don't be a slave to this system. Because all you're doing is it's just a plug-in of something else you're adapting into. Cloak. Programming. Diggy, 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 diggy. But as I said, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. Till next time, I'll see you later. You got questions and comments, hit me up. We'll discuss it. Till then, thank you again. Appreciate it. And this has just been a quick discussion on Seeker of the Unknown. Thank you so much.